When it comes to self-help, you want to get right to the point. The workbook from author Alicia Puzzany, Emotional Strength Explained, can help you see results quickly instead of overthinking or operating from a naive, unsure, or people-pleasing state where you look for immediate gratification. With the help of this workbook, you can become stronger emotionally. Whether you're embarking on something new or working through things with yourself or others, understanding what makes you, you is the crucial first step in coming out on top. Your emotions don't have to control your life. You can learn a better way. With this workbook, you'll work toward a stronger, more confident, less needy you. It's for adolescents, teenagers, adults, and seniors. This is an easy-to-use workbook. With just a few minutes each day, you can become stronger and feel better. You can use this workbook over and over through various areas and stages of your life. Life isn't easy. When times get tough, we need to dig deep and utilize our emotional strength. Emotional Strength Explained from author Alicia Puzzany. Available in Kindle and paperback on Amazon and the author's website, aliciapuzzany.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. And we got an update on the Durham report. And let me tell you, the mainstream media are not covering the massive new scandal that came out of the Durham report, but we will. And anytime there's an update involving the Durham report, you're going to hear it right here. So make sure that you follow and subscribe to me wherever you are listening to me, okay? I'm on many different platforms, because this is huge stuff, people. And Hillary Clinton was, for the very first time, questioned by a reporter. I'm going to play that for you in just a minute, but I just want to do a quick recap for those that may not know. They may get their news from CNN or even Fox News and not know what's going on. So a massive release came out from John Durham on February 11th of 2022. And what that was a charge against Hillary Clinton campaign attorney Sussman. And we found out that Hillary Clinton retained this attorney to put together a spy team, and they were actually spying on President Trump in the White House while he was president, and they had hacked into the Oval Office and Executive Office West Wing computers. So that's why you're hearing from President Trump and others treason, espionage. They've gone to a whole new level. And today, I'm not going to beat around to it. I'm going to get right to it. Today in New York, a reporter from the Daily Mail caught up to Hillary Clinton and asked her a question. And if you're watching on YouTube, the thumbnail that I used on the thumbnail photograph of Hillary Clinton on YouTube, that is a photograph of Hillary Clinton as she was being asked about the Durham report from this Daily Mail reporter. So she does not look happy, and she's wearing a mask, and it's really a mask of shame that she's wearing. It helps her avoid the consequences. And
it is an improvement on her looks.
Well, it shows me that Hillary feels she's busted here. Hillary looks worried.
For
the first time in her life.
I always think about what Dick Morris said on an interview, and he said that he worked with the Clintons when they were in office and in the campaign and everything very closely. In fact, he said Bill Clinton tackled him once. You don't get closer than that.
When Dick Morris, when Bill Clinton was governor, Dick Morris was his campaign manager.
Yeah, he goes way back. And he said Hillary Clinton.
Well, I'll tell people what happened. He had asked, very specifically, he had asked for a raise, and Hillary said no. They got into an argument. He walked away after this nasty argument between him and Hillary, and that's when what you're talking about, Kathy. Bill Clinton came up behind Dick Morris and tackled him,
which is really a strange reaction to somebody asking for a raise.
Well, and let me tell you, Bill Clinton is a big, I know he looks like,
well, he's kind of
Skeletor right now. But back then, he was a big guy, and Dick Morris is a little guy compared to Bill Clinton.
Well, he's rotund. But so there's some weight to that. But anyway, he said in this interview, and he's very politically astute, but he said Hillary Clinton, every decision she ever made was the wrong one.
Yeah.
And he said whenever Bill took her advice, it was very bad advice. For example, he had advised Bill Clinton to settle with Paula Jones out of court. And it was Hillary who didn't want to do that because she said it'll make you look guilty and blah, blah, blah. So he took Hillary's advice, and look what happened with that. It just became a huge nightmare, and then Trump invited Paula Jones to the debate. So, he should have done like Prince Andrew, just settle out of court and be done with it. That's how these rich people handle things. But he's right. Every instinct she's ever had politically is wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And here you have, it's interesting because she really is, I would really like somebody to honestly do like a psychological assessment or a profile of this woman. But she's got so many walls around her. It's really hard to understand sometimes what makes her tick.
She's a complete sociopath.
But yeah, I mean, she's not like a normal person. But she was so afraid of her email scandal. And I think what was on her server that she destroyed involved Trump. I think there were some things going on during the campaign that she did not want to be discovered. And that was behind that. So she creates a whole new scandal that's worse to cover up the previous scandal. I mean, this is how she's just digging her hole deeper and deeper. And like I said yesterday, I don't think she thought this through because I don't think she saw the end game. She's been so protected her whole political career. She has done so many crooked things. Just watch the movie Primary Colors. She's done so many crooked things her entire life that it's second nature to her.
Well, she
never saw the end game, and now her house of cards is finally coming crashing down.
She's so crooked, she doesn't know what not being crooked is. Now, let me play this.
Yes, it's part of her DNA.
So Hillary Clinton's walking down a sidewalk in New York.
Yeah.
She has 2 Secret Service agents who have the worst job in the Secret Service. That's being on Hillary Clinton's detail.
That's for sure.
Can you imagine?
No.
And this reporter from the Daily Mail is waiting for Hillary Clinton and asks her about paying for this spy operation on President Trump. Listen.
Hillary, Laura Collins, Daily Mail. Did you pay to spy on the Trump campaign? What are you going to comment on the spying allegations, Hillary? Did you pay for having spied on?
Now, let me tell you, that's it. And I know it's short and it's sweet. And Hillary
it is sweet.
Did not look happy. No. And, this is going to be the beginning of something here because reporters, they really enjoy the gotcha kind of thing. And when they see someone who's weak, like Hillary Clinton, more of them are going to, when they see her walking down the sidewalk in New York, go up to her and do this. So I'm very excited about this. And I'll tell you, if you go on the Daily Mail and you see this video, or if it's posted somewhere else online that I pulled the audio off of, her hair is not done.
No,
her hair is
She's
not.
She's been looking awful lately.
Her hair is not dyed.
I feel like it takes a team. It takes a village to get Hillary camera ready.
Yeah, she's wearing a mask. This Durham report coming out on the 11th of February has flipped her out. I have never seen Hillary Clinton look this bad, and the only reason that she's even presentable at all is because she's actually wearing a mask. If she has no makeup on. I've never seen her with her hair like she rolled out of bed,
stringy,
not done, not dyed.
Yeah,
Hillary
given up.
She's scared. She's for the first time in her life, Hillary Clinton feels like she's going to be busted. That there's going to be consequences. What those are, I don't know. But this is the thing. We know a little bit about what Hillary did. Hillary knows everything that she did. So, when someone's a criminal like this, they get very paranoid and they think that everyone knows everything that they did, even if you only know a little snapshot.
I think
so. That's why she looks this bad.
This is just the beginning. And, the Clintons are just completely corrupt.
Bill Clinton stays out of all this.
No, but he's had his own scandals. His mostly involved sex, and he couldn't control his urges and things like that. His problem was the women, which, is John F. Kennedy had the same issues, and I really don't care about that stuff. As long as they do a good job leading the country, I don't care about their private life. But this is something completely different, obviously. This is spying on a sitting president, spying on a candidate. And it's so amazing how the media, I don't know if they were in on this. I think some of them were. But has anybody, so far, I don't think anybody in the media has been mentioned as being a part of this whole scheme. I think they were just fed information and they just believed what they wanted to believe. And like Leslie Stahl and all these people, they just mocked Trump and thought he was a total kook and that we were kooks and we were making all this up. But now that the truth is out, Trump is vindicated. Not only is he vindicated, we're vindicated. And because we defended this guy, rightfully so.
Well, I'll tell you,
let's see what happens with the media over this.
It's an interesting thing about the Clintons, okay? And I realized something about the Clintons. Last year, there was that FX movie about the Lewinsky-Clinton affair. And we watched it. It's not the best FX movie on things, but it was interesting to watch. When Bill and Hillary, now Hillary's always been connected. Remember, Hillary is not from Arkansas. She is from Chicago. Her parents were in with Frank Marshall Davis and Bill Ayer's parents. So
that's why Bill married her. She had some connections.
So so she's very well connected. But when Bill and Hillary were running in the 1992 presidential campaign, they were Washington outsiders. And George Bush 41 was a big-time insider, Republican establishment, deep state guy. Remember, George Bush, before he was president, he was vice president, he was ambassador to China, he was director of the FBI, he was director of the CIA, and he was also the chairman of the RNC. He's had all these jobs. And what I came to realize about what got Bill Clinton in trouble was not the women. I used to think that was the mechanism they used. What got Bill Clinton in trouble is that because of the Ross Perot factor, and I voted for Ross Perot. It was my first presidential election. I was a kid. I didn't realize what I was doing.
I'm telling you, the Clintons put him up to it.
But what happened with Bill Clinton wasn't the women. What happened was the Democrats ran this scheme with Ross Perot, and this deep state George Bush 41 lost an election he was supposed to win. And if you go back, if you guys can watch this Monica Lewinsky, Bill Clinton FX movie from last year, you'll see this. The FBI were working with Ken Starr to uncover the Lewinsky scandal and bring all these charges to bring Bill Clinton down. He was brought. I'm not defending Bill Clinton or saying that he's an innocent man, but I'm saying is he had the deep state after him, Bill Clinton,
like Trump
did,
and Bill Clinton was guilty of what they accused him of. That's the difference.
Yeah, and here we are, all these years. Well, what they got Bill Clinton on was kind of like what they got Flynn on, the suborning perjury thing. It's a minor thing, but anyway. So they were outsiders who had the deep state after them, the Clintons, and here we are, many, many years later, and now they're the deep state, the Clintons. They went from being outsiders to the deep state.
Well, I know about this, and I've been around half a century, and this is very biblical. Some people call it karma, but I call it you reap what you sow. And God always gets the final word, and there's a lot of that in the Bible about exposing corruption, because corruption has been around since the beginning of time. I mean, there's always been corruption as long as man has been on the earth. And there's a lot in the Bible about God exposing corruption, shining the light on things, and eventually the truth always comes out. And I think that's what you're seeing happening here. Hillary can only run for so long. It'll be so interesting to see how this plays out. I don't think you're going to see her very much. She's going to be in hiding. But the truth is going to come out. And like you said yesterday, I just never thought this could happen, but it's possible she could get in trouble for this. Now I want to switch gears real quick because we have breaking news on Alec Baldwin. The love fest between Alec Baldwin and, Helena Hutchins' husband has ended. Reckless and cost-cutting Alec Baldwin is sued by the family of Rust cinematographer Helena Hutchins for unlimited damages. Unlimited. After he accidentally killed her with a prop gun, blast to her chest. Helena Hutchins' husband and son are suing Alec Baldwin. Remember after this, she got killed, he was all hugging on the husband, and I said, you guys, this is not going to last. And others associated, so he's being sued by the husband and others.
Good.
Associated with the production of the Western Rust. Lawyers claim reckless behavior and cost cutting led to the cinematographer's death in Santa Fe, New Mexico last October. A complaint alleges Baldwin had refused down training for the kind of gun draw he was doing when he shot Hutchins. The law firm produced a video, that shows 3D animation recreation of the shooting. That I'd like to see. The family of the slain cinematographer on Tuesday filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Baldwin and others on the set of the low-budget Western film after the actor killed her with a prop gun blast to the chest. So it says here he was holding a Colt revolver during the rehearsal when it fired, but we know the story. So this is where the rubber meets the road for Mr. Baldwin, okay? I would imagine he's not worth as much as he used to be. He's got this young wife. He's got like 10 kids with her. He's got his other kid. He had to give a lot of money to Kim Basinger, I'm guessing. And I'm sure his new wife's burning through his money like crazy. He's not getting acting gigs. I mean, this was a low budget.
He's making a movie now in England. Yeah,
I don't know who would hire him.
Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, probably for scale.
Alec Baldwin killed a woman and shot another, and he got hired to make a movie in England.
Well, we'll see what happens with this. It says they're suing for unlimited it says here the civil complaint filed in New Mexico is seeking unspecified but substantial damages, including punitive damages. They definitely have a case. Definitely have a case. There's witnesses. He shot 2 people. He was completely negligent. You know, he can blame the gun. He can blame the prop person, but he's the one that actually shot her. He's the one that pulled the trigger.
Well, I think it's very
he's
strange.
In trouble here. He's going to lose a lot of money.
We're 3-4 months since Alec Baldwin killed a woman and shot the director. And I haven't seen a single press conference from the police in New Mexico or the prosecutors or the investigators. And I've never heard of people shooting people dead and then being able to travel the world. Like, it's very strange. Now, listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there's a lot more to talk about. Do not go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
The search for the most dangerous book in the world is about to begin. From authors Wayne E. Haley and Sean P. Haley comes An Apology to Lucifer, now available for sale at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Apple Books, and on the book's official website, anapologytolucifer.com. In An Apology to Lucifer, Father Thomas Morelli thought he knew the story behind Lucifer's fall from heaven. However, upon making the acquaintance of renowned book authenticator Lorenzo Pellegrini and being invited to stay in the opulent Venice villa belonging to Pellegrini's master, Thomas discovers he has only heard part of the story. In Boston, psychoanalyst, best-selling author, and outspoken atheist David Wright has been tasked to handle the funeral arrangements of his dear friend, Albert Kennedy. What could have driven this controversial exorcist to take his own life? The answer, it seems, is contained in a book that isn't supposed to exist. Joining forces, Lorenza, David, and Thomas must race against time to prevent an ancient battle from reigniting. If you enjoyed The Da Vinci Code, you will love this book, An Apology to Lucifer. The most anticipated supernatural thriller of 2022 is now available at BarnesandNoble.com, Amazon, Apple Books, and on the book's official website, anapologytolucifer.com. Order your copy right now. Do you want to be a director? Have you been trying to get into directing television or films? Maybe you're interested in how it all works. If so, there's a podcast you will want to add to your playlist. The Directors Podcast with your host, Jeff T. Thomas. The Directors Podcast is a 13-episode limited series featuring some of the most talented television and film directors in the industry. All episodes are available right now. Part 1 features the story of how each director broke into the business. Part 2 is a discussion, director to director, about their process, as well as highlighting some of the most defining moments of their careers. The Directors Podcast is fascinating and enlightening. Listen to industry secrets, get tips on how you can make it in the amazing business of television and film directing. The Directors Podcast with your host, Jeff T. Thomas, is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and your favorite podcast platform. Add the Directors Podcast to your playlist right now. From author Michelle dos Santos comes a book that readers have compared to Harry Potter, The Flying Feather, available online at themagicbeanemporium.com. The Flying Feather is a magical novella. It's easy to read for the young and old alike. The Flying Feather prequel is where it all starts. The first installment of this exciting series is about an ordinary boy that receives a rather unusual gift from his grandfather on his 13th birthday. When his grandfather George gives him a feather, he doesn't tell him right away what he has. has. In fact, inherited. Tommy soon discovers that the old pen is a family heirloom with magical properties. Tommy then has to suspend his disbelief and learn to believe. Author Michelle dos Santos is a writer who recently started offering copies of her book in her coffee shop, The Magic Bean Emporium. The Flying Feather has been gaining popularity, so now she's looking for a literary agent interested in the next big thing, her fantastic book, The Flying Feather, from author Michelle dos Santos. Order your copy right now online at themagicbeanemporium.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. So today, crazy day today. Today, Mike Lindell, he loaded up between 10 and 11,000 MyPillows on semi-trucks and was having them driven to the Freedom Convoy truckers in Canada. And I know some of you probably were doing this too. I was watching on Right Side Broadcasting, and they were having difficulty they were waiting and waiting all day, getting the permits to cross the border into Canada, and then it ended. The feed ended. And I've not been able to find out as we are speaking now. Now, by the time you're listening to this, we may have an update. We don't know what happened, but we don't know if Mike Lindell's pillows were turned away or not. But he used semi-trucks that were his that say My Pillow all over the sides of the truck and everything.
Nothing hiding here.
And they didn't just have the regular My Pillows in them. They also, because the kids are with the truckers too, he sent a bunch of the My Pillow Bible pillows, and those were in the back of the truck. And he said,
"Oh, those are nice."
Yeah. So they were talking. They said if the Border Patrol open up the truck to inspect it, the first thing they're going to see are the Bible pillows.
Yeah.
That they'll have to take out. So we'll keep monitoring that situation. But I thought that was a pretty amazing thing that was going on. And then the feed just went away.
I know. I don't know.
And I was just searching during the break for any updates, and I can find no updates. Now, I'm sure there will be by tomorrow or something, but as of now, there's none. Now, this fake war going on in Ukraine, Pelosi gave an interview yesterday, and she just spilled the whole plan of the scheme that Biden and her are running here in Ukraine.
I can't wait to hear this.
And I haven't seen anyone pick up on this all day. I saw this this morning before I went on the air, and I was talking about a lot of things and ran out of time and didn't get to this audio soundbite on the show this morning. And I thought, well, someone else is going to be running with this. A lot of people are going to be running for this, and it'll be no one's run with the story. So but I kept the soundbite. So I want to play this. This is an interview with Nancy Pelosi yesterday, and she explained the entire Biden scheme with this fake wag the dog war in Ukraine. It's a complete scheme, and I thought this was interesting. I don't know if it's just because she's arrogant or that she's just getting old and let the cat out of the bag.
It's a mix
of
both.
Yeah, all right, here she is. Here's Pelosi.
We're joined now by the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi.
Oh, I forgot it. She's being interviewed by Clintonista George Stephanopoulos.
Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. Madam Speaker, thank you for coming in again this morning.
My pleasure. Good morning.
You just saw those reports right there. The White House is warning of an imminent invasion of Ukraine. The Ukrainians seem to think that that's all hype. Do you believe that Putin is poised to invade?
Well, I think we have to be prepared for it, and that is what the president is. Yes, I do believe that he is prepared for an invasion. I also understand why the president of Ukraine wants to keep people calm and that he wants his economy not to suffer. But on the other hand, if we were not threatening the sanctions and the rest, it would guarantee that Putin would invade. Let's hope that the diplomacy works. It's about diplomacy deterrence. Diplomacy deterrence, and the president's made it very clear. There's a big price to pay for Russia to go there. So if Russia doesn't invade, it's not that he never intended to. It's just that the sanctions
Are you
worked.
convinced that President Biden is...
So this is interesting. So Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, has been saying the Russians aren't attacking. He was demanding the United States show them the intelligence that our country has that show there's going to be an attack. And then Nancy Pelosi let the cat out of the bag. She says, well, if Putin doesn't attack, it's because of the threat of Biden about sanctions and our military presence there. So they've got this fake war that's not going to happen. President Trump said Saturday it's an exercise, and he gets security briefings. And Nancy Pelosi is set up this thing. Well, no, Biden stopped the war. They're probably going to nominate Joe Biden for the Nobel Peace Prize for stopping a war that never was going to happen between Russia and Ukraine.
I mean, that's just really lame. Nothing even happened.
Because of Pelosi, because of Biden's decisive action with the threat of sanctions. That's
but
what
all
she
this
said.
has happened in a week. I mean, it's so ridiculous. You know what I mean? Do they really think that this is going to help Joe Biden and Putin? Was he in on this?
He never intended to go to war. But
what about the reports of Russia surrounding the country? Was that all fake too? They weren't really there, and all the video was it
I don't know about. I do know this. I saw some of the footage on CNN of our troops, and some of it to me looked like file footage. It didn't. It did not all.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Some of it looked like file footage. It's hard to. You never know.
What was the point of all this? Just to make him look tough?
Yeah. Well, when you're
not going to work,
the president, and you're dealing with senility and Alzheimer's and all these things, you're consumed with making people think you're strong, decisive, in control, and a powerful man. So you do these crazy things. He very well may have also been working some angle.
This is not going to help his poll numbers one bit.
Yeah.
If anything, they'll go even lower.
Earlier today, someone in our Marco Polo group posted a video of a Christian talk show host who was talking about the Trudeau government and the Democrats in this country, about how they hate us, and that and he and other Christians, a lot of Christians don't understand why do they hate us and why are they so anti-business. And I know this may seem a little the guy is right, okay? They hate us. They despise us. The political establishment of Canada and of the United States and of England are the same political establishment. They all go to the same Ivy League schools, and they all go to Oxford. They all go to Harvard, Yale, Princeton. They're all buddies, even though they're in different countries. It's the same establishment. They do hate us, and they hate the businesses that we're involved in. But the reason they hate us, Trudeau, Pelosi, Biden, the list goes on. The reason they hate us is because we're in the way of their business, which is crooked business of selling out. They're all corrupt public officials, okay? And in England, Canada, and the United States, the political establishment, the ruling class. I mean, in Trudeau's case, his dad was prime minister. It's like he inherited the office, like it's a title that was handed
George
down
Bush.
to him. Yeah, and they all have crooked dealings. Like look what's going on now. We were talking over the weekend about Ford. He's the premier, and he was on the side of the truckers, and then in 24 hours he did a complete 180 on it. And he's up for a re-election, I understand. So there's conflicts and things there that are going. They hate us because we're interfering with their business, which is the business of corruption. The Biden family business. And this thing with Biden and Ukraine, he's got some business angle going on over there that this is all about. And it very well could be simple as the military contractors that make all this money on military movements and everything that are donors to the Democrats. That it could be a reason to bring us to the verge of war because we got to buy new equipment and do this and buy that and all these other things. I don't know. Biden is benefiting from this fake war scare in Ukraine. What specifically it is?
Well, we know he's had dealings with the Ukraine and
crooked dealings.
Yeah, so this could be a scheme they concocted for whatever reason. But whatever it is, we know it's crooked and wrong. But, these leaders, you're right, they have complete disdain for us.
Yes.
And they want us just to sit down and shut up. They don't want us to get involved or speak our minds. You can see with the truckers, the minute they stand up for their own freedom, they malign them, call them names, label them certain things, and now they're closing their bank accounts, freezing their assets. It's nuts what's going on up there just to intimidate them and bully them. But they want us just to not say anything, to not do anything, unless you're Antifa. Then you can run amok and burn down cities, and or if you're a criminal, you can go around and beat people over the head with a baseball bat. That's all fine.
Or if you're Alec Baldwin, you can shoot women dead.
Or do drugs in the park and leave needles everywhere. That's okay. But if you're a law-abiding citizen, you're screwed.
That's right. Now, I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters for your support of the program. It does help us out a lot, and it is very much appreciated. And if you would like to become a Patreon supporter, there is a link in the description of this and every episode of the program on whatever platform you're listening to us on, as well as a direct link on my website, briancraigshow.com. And there are benefits to becoming a Patreon supporter, including getting commercial-free editions of each and every podcast episode. And your help is very much appreciated. Now, I know a lot of you may have noticed over the weekend, I'm starting to do live streams on the weekend. Our daughter, Emily, is getting me set up. I started this past weekend, and I'm set up where I did this weekend. It was very successful, and this is going to be a regular thing. My live streams on the weekends, I'm taking live calls on from people watching me on YouTube. And just search Brian Craig or The Brian Craig Show on YouTube. My channel will come up, and you can subscribe, and that's on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday mornings typically. Okay, but if you click the notification bell, you'll get a notification when I go live. But our daughter is building me an entire studio here at home for YouTube. You know, I'm a radio podcast guy. I know audio and audio production and all of that. But when it comes to, video stuff, that's another area, and our daughter's an expert at that.
She is so good at we call her tech support in the house. And that's her nickname, everybody in the family.
Yeah.
Her cousins, my brother and sister, our parents, they all, and friends too, contact Emily when they need tech support. They'll call me. I'll say, just talk to Emily. And she always figures it out within 5 minutes. She's just really good with the tech.
Yeah. And we
has been.
We had mentioned over the weekend that I need a green screen, and two of our Patreon supporters gave me this morning a green screen.
Yes, Andrew and Connie. Thank you.
Andrew and Connie. And
very nice.
Andrew met me at the radio station and gave me, and it's not just a regular green screen. It is like the best, most perfect green screen
really
there
nice.
is. I never would have been able to buy this on my own. I got to tell you. And it's a perfect green screen, and I already have tried it out and everything else. So all of our Patreon supporters, your help is very much appreciated. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you on each and every episode. So all the names you're about to hear are our top Patreon supporters. Andrew and Connie, who gave us this incredible green screen. Christine, Gary, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Jacqueline, Rick, Rich, and Nick. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you so much. And again, if you would like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the episode description. The direct website address to our Patreon page is patreon.com/Real Brian Craig Show. Now, I pulled up this audio here. This is there's so many terrible things going on in America. But one of them is the Democrats are bringing back something that Republicans eradicated, that Democrats had in our society for 100 years. And that's segregation. All the segregationists were Democrats, okay? This is something that's forgotten from history. They tell you about this fake party switch where one day all the good people became Democrats and all the bad people switched from Democrat to Republican.
Yeah, another lie.
Republicans and Democrats can't even agree on what color the sky is.
Well, I just want to say one thing on that. Do you really, if you really think about it, do you really think Republicans would agree to make a switch like that?
What would be the benefit?
You guys be the good guys now, and we'll take on the bigotry and the racism stigma. We'll take that on.
Yeah.
You really think they would agree to some kind of stupid deal like that? Give me a break.
All the segregationists were Democrats. All the slave owners were Democrats.
That's right.
Every black man lynched in America was a Republican, and every Republican black man who was lynched in America was lynched by a Democrat.
True.
The Ku Klux Klan was formed. I'm just doing the Reader's Digest version because with this new story. The Ku Klux Klan was formed to suppress the Republican vote, which were the black vote. And it was it was the original, actually, the KKK. It was the original Democrat community activist organization. The bridge in Selma that Martin Luther King walked across, those were black Republicans walking across the bridge in Selma to vote Republican. And the people that attacked them on the other side of the bridge were Democrats to stop them from voting Republican. So Republicans eradicated the Democrat segregationist policies from our society, And every couple of weeks, you hear of another story of Democrats bringing segregation back.
Yeah.
So out in Washington State, a school district in the Seattle area, I don't remember the name. All the counties up there have these Indian names. It's some Native American. This county, this
Native
liberal
American,
this liberal county is guilty of cultural appropriation. They're taking Native American names and naming their things. But anyway, a school district in the Seattle, Washington area had a parent meeting, a parent event that was only for parents of color. White parents were not allowed.
Unbelievable.
And this caused a bit
They're
of
bringing
a
segregation back.
controversy. Segregation, by the way, is illegal.
That might change someday.
But the Democrats are doing it all over. So the school board had a meeting, and they openly defended their segregated parent meetings where white parents were not permitted, which could be rather confusing because our daughter is black and Kathy and I are white. So if they had such that makes Kathy and I black parents. Would we have been allowed at this meeting if our daughter was in the school district?
Exactly.
I don't know.
It'd be very confusing.
When our daughter's
confusing for Emily because she was younger.
Yeah.
She would come home and say, "Well, I don't know what to do."
Yeah.
I'm
you're not
black,
allowed to
but
go,
you guys,
Dad.
she's
You're not allowed to go.
She's also part Native American as well.
Yeah, so I guess we wouldn't be allowed to go. And one thing I noticed when our daughter was in school, she's 22, soon to be 23, but when she was in school, it's almost every other family was interracial. White guy, Hispanic woman, black. There's very few. But anyway, let me get back to this. So this is the school board meeting up in Washington State, and the school board is defending having racially segregated parental events. Listen to this. Unreal.
Said it's not really a dialogue, it is input, but I do want to say a few words. I'm sorry for anybody who feels that was an indication of segregation. It was really an intent from the board to be able to hear from our historically marginalized families. We wanted to be able to have an environment where they could share freely and honestly and feel vulnerable. And so
what are they
so insane.
What are they sharing that they can't share around white parents at the school? Racial hatred? I just
don't understand this.
Very strange.
I mean, this is what I understand.
Very strange.
People have tried so hard for the last 50, 60 years to bring people together.
It was over.
And I'm just saying, and to not have this issue be black and white, for lack of a better phrase. And you see now all these, like you said, biracial families and multicultural families. It's like they're regressing. I don't understand this. They have convinced themselves that white people are evil and that white people need not attend. Their voices are not necessary. They're not allowed. But like you said, what do you do if you have a biracial family or people like us who've adopted a child of a different ethnicity where it does not matter? But apparently that's crazy.
Well, let's get back to this. It's the school board defending their illegal segregationist parental meetings.
To be able to have an environment where they could share freely and honestly and feel vulnerable. And so we have heard from those families before, and we understand that sometimes the environment isn't comfortable. So having them surrounded by other people similar to them makes it easier. So our intent was to create a more welcoming an environment and to be more inclusive versus to exclude anyone. We did change our language on the wording. We listened to some people that have given us feedback. All of the meetings are open to any families to attend. And we invite you to either attend one or more of the focus group meetings or fill out the survey. But our intent is to be expansive and inclusive. So.
Okay. Could you imagine if they had a meeting where it was just for white parents and they said, we're uncomfortable around minorities. I mean, it sounds like what it is. It's just racism.
There were people like that, and they were bigots.
Yeah, they're called Democrats.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, listen, we're going to take our break. When we get back, there's much more to talk about. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Back after this.
From author Devinder Kaur comes your next must-read book, Forced to Marry Him, A Lifetime of Tradition and the Will to Break It. Available on Amazon. In the late 1980s, Devinder Kaur was forced to marry a man she didn't know. But when she was only 14 years old, the marriage was arranged and set to occur when she turned 18. After 4 long years of internal turmoil and despair, she had 2 choices: adhere to the customs and traditions of her family or risk bringing dishonor to their home. Devinder didn't like either option, so she made a plan to survive. In the book, Forced to Marry Him, the author tells of the pain, lies, and betrayal she suffered at the hands of those who were meant to protect her most. But her story doesn't end there. Devinder's willingness to speak out and fight not only saved her life, but the lives of many other women and young girls over the years. She offers courage and strength to those who can't advocate for themselves, and she works with organizations all over the world to help end arranged and forced marriages. The author gives a voice to the voiceless as she breaks down walls to eradicate cultural and traditional abuse. This book is perfect for book clubs. Forced to Marry Him, A Lifetime of Tradition and the Will to Break It, from author Devinder Kaur. Available in Kindle and paperback on Amazon. You can also find the author on Twitter and Instagram at LUCHANIK or visit her website LUCHANIK.com. What you wear can say a lot about who you are. You can express your personality and style with a collection of t-shirts and hoodies at Moonlight T Designs on Etsy.com. Whatever kind of t-shirts and hoodies you like, they have them. Moonlight T Designs on Etsy have something for everyone. You can head out of the door with a shirt or hoodie that you're proud of and experience the joy of comfort wherever you go. Moonlight T Designs on Etsy was inspired by the love of animals. The items are very positive and funny. Everything is made with premium, soft, and soothing fabric that feels great. The shirts and hoodies are breathable, comfortable, and always in style. They have different color options to choose from. Everything in the shop makes a great gift for a friend or loved one. Worldwide delivery is available. Go to the shop right now online at etsy.com/shop/Moonlight T Designs. That's the letter T. Etsy.com/shop/Moonlight T Designs. View the inventory and take your casual look to a new level with t-shirts and hoodies from Moonlight T Designs on Etsy. Etsy.com/shop/Moonlight T Designs. Making friends is so important to little kids. It helps them develop healthy and important social skills at an early age. The book from retired preschool teacher and author Cindy Van Order, Coco Bear Makes a Friend. Available on Amazon. Follows the lovable 3-year-old bear on his quest to find a friend to play with. Join Coco Bear and his new, very colorful friend, Flutterby, as they take on exciting adventures together, with Mama Bear's permission, of course. Who knows what fun things they will discover. This is author Cindy Van Order's first book in her children's series, The Adventures of Coco Bear and Flutterby, and is filled with adorable illustrations by her stepdaughter Annie. This book is perfect for children 2 to 5 years old, at home or for classroom reading. Coco Bear Makes a Friend, from author and retired preschool teacher Cindy Van Order. Available on Amazon. Order your copy right now. Are you ready to be a servant of God? Do you have what it takes? It is not an easy road, but if you're up for the challenge, there's a workbook that you will want to order right now. Prayer in the Presence of God, from Michael Kelly. Author Michael Kelly is a retired lieutenant in Texas as a peace officer. Now, he spends his time and efforts helping to build new churches around the world. He has answered the call. Will you? In Prayer in the Presence of God, author Michael Kelly has outlined a clear and concise toolkit of how to tackle problems, big and small, using the sage wisdom of God and His words to us. This workbook will help you get on the correct path, the path that follows God. Michael Kelly's life experiences have brought him to a faithful, loving, and devoted love for God, and he wants to share that with you and others. Prayer in the Presence of God by Michael Kelly. Available on Amazon in Kindle and paperback. Order your copy right now.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
I wanted to say one thing. There's a graphic somebody put up in our Facebook group, Brian Craig Show, and on Fox they put up a picture explaining the amount of coverage the Durham report has received from the different news outlets between Saturday to Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So last Saturday to yesterday. ABC, 0 seconds. NBC, 0 seconds. CBS, 0 seconds.
Wow.
MSNBC, 0 seconds. And CNN, 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That's it.
And that was probably to discredit it.
Yeah, exactly.
Not to report on it.
All the coverage. This is how you know that the people in the mainstream media, now not everybody, Newsmax is really covering it heavily. We're not mainstream, but we're covering it. And Fox is talking about it too.
Yeah.
But this is how you know how those left-leaning organizations are, they pushed these lies on people for years and years and years. And now they've come to find out that Hillary was the puppet master. They were duped, and they're just going to completely ignore the truth because it totally vindicates Donald Trump. And if they can help it, that will never see the light of day on their network.
But you got to remember, these people,
incredible.
These people think they're saving us.
But they were in on it too. I mean, even if it wasn't knowingly, they helped push her lie.
Oh, I think some of them knew it.
So some of them knew, maybe the higher ups, but I think a lot of people didn't know. They were just useful idiots. But they helped push her lies for 4 years.
We know.
I mean, can they get in trouble for being complicit in this?
We know.
I don't know.
We know this, okay? And everyone listening to this program knows this. Hillary Clinton is a scummy, low-life criminal person.
Yeah,
and none of us know her personally. These people in the media know her and the whole family personally. They know a lot about her. They know. So I mean, think about it. Just with the surface stuff that we know about Hillary, we know. Can you imagine if you were around her personally? And so they know it's all true. They just hate Donald Trump because he's not part of the establishment. That's what it's about. Now listen to this. The Freedom Convoy.
Oh, wait. The video of Alec Baldwin, the 3D animation of Alec Baldwin shooting Helena, the recreation is out now. It just came out.
Wow. Good.
Oh, my gosh. They got an animated thing that looks like Alec Baldwin. So I'm going to put this on your Twitter and your Facebook group if you guys want to see it. This is pretty incredible.
I don't know why
it's a total recreation.
I don't know why we haven't seen a press conference still, but let me get to this. This is the Freedom Convoy. This is, I tell you, Canada. I was talking to a caller this morning from Canada. In the United States, in school and all the way through, you don't learn anything about Canada.
No, not really.
The only things we learn about Canada, I'm serious about this, where it is, on the map, geography. That we have that the longest unfortified border on the planet is between the United States and Canada. That's the other thing you know and learn about in school. And then you learn a little bit about in the American Revolution. Some of it was fought in Canada, but that's it. That's it.
Yeah, we didn't learn anything.
We don't learn anything about Canada. We don't know anything. And so as far as I know, though, this Freedom Trucker event that's going on is the largest, most controversial political protest in the history of at least modern Canada. I've never seen anything like this come out of Canada. If anything in Canada makes the news, it's in the news for 6 seconds, and that's it. And this has been going on for, 2 weeks, something like that, going on 2 weeks. Never seen anything like this before out of Canada. It's huge. And there's no mistaking that this is part of the MAGA movement. If President Trump didn't come down the escalator, the Freedom Convoy wouldn't be there today. President Trump has inspired this. So,
I agree with you on that. I think he's inspired a lot of people around the world
to
stand
this.
up for themselves.
So there's a new story today, and there's a couple of layers to it. One, I was talking about this morning. Trudeau's declared martial law. The last time this was done was in 1970 when a Quebec separatist group kidnapped a British journalist. And prior to that, it was like the Second World War, okay? So this is the hardcore stuff. And there was a story that came out late yesterday that the Mounties on some of the truckers did a search and found a whole bunch of weapons that they confiscated, and they showed them. Now, I saw the table they had with the weapons. I know guys that go just to the gun range on the weekend that have more guns and ammo than these guys all had put together. I'm talking about one guy would have more than this. But anyway, listen to this. Freedom Convoy leaders, this is in the Daily Mail, Freedom Convoy leaders claim nefarious elements are planning to plant 2,000 stolen guns on the Freedom Convoy protesters in Ottawa to discredit their movement after Mounties arrested 11 with a cache of firearms in Alberta. Convoy security chief Danny Bulford made the allegation in a video address late Monday night. He says that nefarious elements plan to plant firearms on demonstrators in Ottawa to discredit them. He said the plot could be linked to a truck filled with stolen guns in Ontario. Excuse me, guys, I got a runny nose. Early Sunday morning. Every time you got a runny nose or a sniffle, people, they start talking about COVID. No, it's just allergies.
It's interesting how people are wise.
Yeah.
I'm sure this stuff has been going on forever. And now people are wise to these kinds of things being orchestrated and people infiltrating these groups to make them look bad.
Well, this is very detailed. Listen to this. Now, this is Danny Bulford is the guy's name. I've never heard his name before, this story. He's the self-described head of security for the Freedom Convoy. He made this allegation in a video address late Monday night, as I said. He suggested the plot is connected to a truck full of firearms stolen in Ontario Sunday, and he says this. We received information from multiple believed reliable sources, and these are probably like police officers and things that don't agree with what the government's doing. We received information from multiple believed to be reliable sources that firearms may be planted in Ottawa, specifically around the Freedom Convoy, to discredit the protest and to use it as a pretext to forcibly remove peaceful protesters, he said. And he's a former Royal Canadian police officer, so he's a voice of credibility. The private intelligence correlates with the approximately 2,000 firearms stolen in Ontario Sunday, he continued. Our sources have notified us that these weapons may be planted, and at this point we have no further knowledge about who's behind this act of sabotage. The way the government is reacting in Canada is much like the Democrats are reacting here.
I think. Well, he talked to Biden, and after he talked to Biden, he declared martial law.
That's right.
And he is taking advice from the biggest crooks in the world. I mean, I think they're directly helping him and advising him and are probably involved in making all this happen. This is right out of the liberal playbook.
Yeah, and what I'm very curious about, because after this phone call between Trudeau and Biden is when this crackdown happened, and since the Canadians really have never dealt with civil disobedience before, and in the United States, this has been a way of life, over the years. I wonder if there are officials in our military, Homeland Security, and other branches of our government that are actively, openly advising the Trudeau government on how to deal with this. And that would be scandalous. That would be like if they're doing that. That's like those covert operations to like overthrow governments in foreign lands that you hear about the deep state doing and things over the years.
I think our government right now, not everything in the government, but I think some of our leaders is the most corruption we've probably ever seen.
No doubt.
In the history of this country.
Yeah.
And that is something right there that these people would do, is planting things. And of course the news crew will be right there ready to take pictures. But there are a lot of reporters in Canada that are wise to this and that are being honest about the reporting and are on the side of the truckers. And I think they're underestimating.
Well, that's how they're getting this
their
intel.
Support. Well, yeah, exactly. They're more honest. But, this problem could have been solved so quickly.
Oh, there's one last thing I want to mention here. We're almost out of time. Before we say goodbye, this just came out today. New York Democrat Kathleen Rice has become the 30th member of the House of Representatives, who's a Democrat, to announce they will not be running for re-election. So this 30 Democrats are in the House are not running for re-election because they know they're going to lose. And these are positions that people do not walk away from, okay? Because there's all kinds of benefits, including their financial shenanigans and everything else. So 30, and this is another story the mainstream media really are sitting on. I know if you watch Newsmax, you watch Fox, you watch One American News, you'll hear it, and they do it. But your average Democrat that gets all their news from MSNBC and CNN do not even know that 30 Democrats in the House are not running for re-election. This red tsunami that's coming is going to take the Democrats by such surprise. They're going to be in utter shock. Listen, we're all out of time. We'll be back next time. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next time.
There's no doubt, today more than ever, we all need a little uplifting. Times are scary, and the world can seem lonely and frightening, but God is always present. God loves us and wants us to know He is here and always there when we need Him. The Warriors for Christ podcast seeks to uplift, edify, and encourage you to be the light and salt in a dark and tasteless world. They have new episodes weekly. Be sure to subscribe and share the Warriors for Christ podcast with your friends and family. Find the Warriors for Christ podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Player FM, Stitcher, Deezer, Amazon Podcast, and on their website, warriorsforchrist.podomatic.net. That's the number 4, warriorsforchrist.podomatic.net. Warriors for Christ, letting the Bible speak and teach for itself.